You got the big star here, but you've also got a star here in the tail light. The DRL is a star as well, the three-pointed star here in the middle, no surprise, but look at all of these stars in your eyes here. And isn't that how it should be? Especially when you're talking about a car like this, which allows you to really enter the brand, the compacts. And this one isn't compromised, it's pretty swanky. That huge panoramic roof that almost extends into the rear windscreen, that took some special engineering. It also adds this feeling of premiumness that I was talking about. Now these door handles, they pop out and they're great for aerodynamics, of course, look at that. But they again give you that sense of being a little high-end. That's also great for the electric part, of course. The rimless doors, that's another nice touch. You don't usually see that at the entry-level cars. And then, of course, you've got the styling up front. But before I talk about the styling, let me quickly show you this. The first of the EVs from Mercedes, the new ones anyway, that have come out now, that actually has a frunk. That's a pretty big one too. It's nice and spacious and pretty practical. You could put in an overnight trolley bag in there as well. The styling, of course, is premium. Now you see a lot of the EQS in this in terms of the shape, the swooping design, but the CLA was always the four-door coupe, so that roof line's not a surprise. The face, it's gotten a little bit more attractive, a little bit more modern, and again, the focus is on being really high-end and being a Mercedes. Remember now the brand's moving away from doing a separate car, which is ICE, and a separate car in the same segment, which is EV. This car will serve both of that. So look at the new design language. It kind of reflects that. You've got that EV look on the grille, but then you've also got the connected lights. You've also got this new star pattern that I was talking about. This color, of course, I'm very biased, as you know, to blue, so I love it. But that's the whole point. It's trying to be youthful. The appeal is in this design. The appeal is in some of this styling. And what you see, the first impression that car makes on you, that's been the focus.
Well, do you like what you see? Comment below if that's a yes or a no. And oh, in case you are wondering about these.
So of course there are three-pointed stars on the hubs on the wheels as well. So can you imagine how many stars there are now on this exterior design? Well, you don't have to count, you don't have to think, because I did it already. 153. Of course I'm including all of these as well.
All those stars are pointing in a new direction. New technology, new design, new software, and yes, new innovation too.
This car will sort of, in a way, also replace the A-Class sedan. Not really a huge mover for Mercedes in India. So does it then really sort of deliver all that you can expect for a buyer who's stepping into luxury, a buyer who's stepping into EV perhaps for the first time, a buyer who wants a Mercedes-Benz first and then wants like a compact sedan or an affordable Mercedes-Benz? That's what I'm here to find out.
I am in Denmark's capital, Copenhagen, to test the new third-generation CLA. Scandinavia has shown a greater adoption of EVs and also boasts sustainable electricity production. Over 80% of the country's electricity comes from renewable energy sources like wind power. So it's a great place to test this car, isn't it?
The big headline around the CLA has been innovation. And you know what? A lot of that has been very, very obviously camouflaged, or hijacked, I should say, by the talk about the new operating system, MB.OS. We've been hearing about it for a while. We've seen it at CES. We saw it on the concept CLA. And of course, it's the first car, the first production car to get it. Now, that overtakes the conversation because a lot of the actual innovation when it comes to the car itself, to the drive and to the platform and to the drivetrain as well, is also what's really interesting to me. This is a big change, or a sort of a departure from the kind of development you were seeing even for the EVs at Mercedes-Benz till now. And this is the shape, or maybe the technology of its future cars that are coming. That becomes almost more interesting to me. As much as I'm very interested in the new OS, I think the drive experience and how this car is different in terms of its engineering development from the previous cars, that really excites me a little bit more.
Aerodynamics are in major focus. The shape, of course, but also the radiator shutter in the lower bumper up front, optimized shapes for the exterior mirrors, aero wheels in all variants and sizes, and also those retractable handles. The entire underbody is also fully closed and smooth, both for aero and to provide protection to the battery.
The part that really strikes me is how much the overall thinking and philosophy has changed even at Mercedes-Benz. You know, all innovation, anything new, anything cutting edge would always first come on an S-Class or like a flagship vehicle and then sort of trickle its way down to the smaller compacts. This is the first time where we're seeing the complete new development of something at the brand that is starting with something so compact. The CLA is therefore emblematic of, I think, a change at the company where it's also trying to look at not just new buyers or not just a sort of a new kind of vehicle, but a different kind of architecture. And it's also one where the company has finally swallowed some humble pie. Now, I say that because if you think about it, there was a time not so long back when Mercedes, Audi, everybody was talking about dedicated EV platforms. And BMW was like, you know, hold my wife's beer while I get to work on just platforms that will give me every kind of vehicle. So after a few years of giving us all these EQ cars that were very different and almost obviously or purposely different to their ICE counterparts, now we're going to have this new strategy going forward where maybe not for every vehicle line, but for most of them, there's going to be a common architecture. Now, this particular architecture, of course, is for the compacts. And there is some talk about the ICE CLA, of course, that's been there right from the start when this broke cover, but no one's sort of in a hurry to talk about when it might come to the market. And in India, in any case, things are going to stay with the EV version for a while. Let's see where that goes. Some of that will also depend on the success, if any, of the 2 Series Grand Coupe.
For now, the two will not be rivals as such, then, being positioned very differently. The CLA has the 250 Plus and the 350 4MATIC. Both use an 85 kWh NMC battery and a new 2-speed gearbox.
India will get the rear-wheel drive, that's the 250 Plus. Now you saw that Plus badging appearing with the EQA, so subtle differences between the regular 250 or a 250 Plus, not important right now, but the point is we don't get the 4MATIC or the all-wheel drive. That is where you have the dual motor setup, that is where you have, of course, a little bit more power, but it is the same battery pack. Now, there will be a smaller battery pack that will be offered later on as an option, mainly to the European market. I'm not really expecting us to really get excited about that one. So let's talk about this, the 250 Plus. 85 kWh battery, ample amount of power coming from that motor as well, which is sitting at the back. And I'll tell you what, again, the focus is not so much on, you know, oh, what's the range? The focus is on how do you maximize that range. The focus has been on efficiency, on how to make the overall working of the car a little bit more efficient. That's not surprising because just like you saw with ICE for years where you were trying to eke out a little bit more mileage from, you know, pretty much the same engine technology. Now you're getting new technology, new kind of battery chemistry, and also different kind of software that's really sort of accelerating some of those efficiencies. That's something Mercedes is very proud of with this car. Real world usage will tell us whether that's worked or not, but on paper, it does look very promising.
Efficiency is further enhanced by using 800-volt charging architecture, 99% or higher recuperation efficiency, new Michelin Primacy 2 tires, a new air conditioner, and the new efficient motors.
Now, a lot of the electrics, they tend to lose range when you're on the highway, and that's again been a big part of that focus on efficiency, which is why Mercedes is now using a 2-speed gearbox. The interesting thing about that is that when you're driving in the city up to speeds of 60, 70, or maybe even just a little bit higher, it's going to just stay in that first gear. And then when you get to higher speeds, when you're trying to cruise or even trying to sort of go faster on the highway, triple-digit speeds, that's when the second gear kicks in, and it just means that you're not straining anymore to try and maintain those speeds. And then when you get onto the highway, like I am now, you can expect, of course, to want to go much faster, triple-digit speeds, more consistently. That's when in typical electrics, as you start gobbling up the battery power and the juice to be able to provide that kind of performance, your range drastically or alarmingly starts to fall. That's the part they're trying to avoid with this one. Again, let's see how it goes with actual usage, but sounds like an interesting proposition, especially when you start thinking about the bigger cars that are coming, or the ones where people will want maybe to take it out on the highway more often, do more road trips.
The car drives well, acceleration is quick, though I won't say it knocks you back into your seat. What I don't love is the steering, too loose and way too soft. It does stiffen up a bit in sport mode though. The car handles very well and is taut around corners.
So the idea of cool tech inside the cabin's not been new to Mercedes for a while. With MB.OS, we've seen the hyper screen, the super screen. That kind of follows into this car as well. So big screens, it's the China effect we keep talking about. In this car, you also have the optional third passenger screen. This particular one doesn't have it, but yeah, you can get that if you want to. And I'm pretty sure they'll offer that in India as well. The focus is on tech, and you see that in just the way everything has been styled. You can, of course, go for wood veneers and slightly more traditional elements, but you can look at this one. It's got that really not sporty first, but tech first feel, even to the way the layout's been done. This is interesting. It's a complete departure from what's the traditional round AC vents. You see that, of course, here on the side. But coming back to this screen setup, the reason why there's been such a lot of focus on this, especially with the CLA, MB.OS, the brand new operating system, Mercedes-Benz going in-house completely and bringing us a very new layout and a very new interface. It's not just the graphics that have changed, it's not just the look that's changed, it's also the operation, it's also everything that the car can do that has become, well, the brand says, a lot more enhanced. There's a lot more connectivity, there's a lot more apps that have been embedded into this. You can also use Google Maps now, which is where the navigation comes from. That is a part of the home screen. You also have the virtual or AR enhanced navigation now, as you can see here with this little arrow that's pointing, and the view pops up automatically. But then we've seen that even on the EQA 250 Plus. Head-up display on this one. You've also got plastic quality that's not bad, though you can tell, of course, that it's a compact or an entry model in a way. There's this new panel here. It's got a haptic feel to it. The whole thing moves up and down when you use the hazard lights or when you go to the dynamic select screen. That's a good and a bad thing. The bad thing is it feels kind of rattly, but the good thing is that you don't have to look down when you're driving to ensure that you have pressed something, because it's not really a button, it's more like a panel. Otherwise, you got a whole lot of buttons up here as well, which are also kind of touch sensitive, which is again something we've seen from Mercedes before. This huge sunroof, it is a huge part of the design, let's say, appeal of the cabin. It gives the cabin a lot of sense of space. In India, though, I wonder, are they going to have to tint that a little bit darker because there's no screen to cover it? It's back here actually that the cabin feels even more swanky. I'm surprised to say that because usually the focus on the back seat, it's not so great. Now, under thigh support, 3 people here, that's going to be a bit questionable. The sense of space you get with this roof going all the way back here, the glass element, I have to say that is pretty impressive. Now, here's the thing, that this focus on ambient lighting that's been such a S-class kind of a thing, you see it really pronounced here. There's almost a panel that sits above a panel, and in the groove, in the gap, you have the ambient light. That's nice, but I'm not sure how well it'll age. I'm also worried about, of course, our conditions where lighter colors or even just dust could become an issue here. You got 2 USB-C points here, dual AC vents as well, no surprise there. But this part is a little basic. There's just a stand for your phone, and there's, of course, the cup holders. Again, for the India spec, they might want to think about adding like a wireless charger back here. Don't hold your breath, but it's just something to think about. The sports seats, the material quality, all of that, like I said, at the back feels almost better. It's comfortable. It's going to be great for kids, of course, but don't start thinking about this as your chauffeur-driven drive anytime soon.
But then this is not going to be a volumes model for Benz in India anyway. I was glad to get plenty of time with both variants and across 2 days. Plenty of driving all the way to the northern coastline of Denmark. And yes, being driven too.
Well, it's day 2 of the drive now, and I've gotten kind of used to the car a little bit more. All its quirks, a few idiosyncrasies, but also some pretty impressive features too. Now, having spent all this time with the car, the thing that I have to tell you is this 2-speed gearbox takes some getting used to, because when you accelerate really hard, like on a highway, I've been driving through the city today, but when you're on the highway and you go really hard, you feel a little bit of a lurch when the gear changes. It's like an AMT. You also feel it when you're not driving hard, when you're going really sort of gently. But the point is that, yeah, it's got that little bit of a little pullback or a little gap. Now, I spoke with the engineers. They say that this is something that had to be a bit of a compromise to be able to achieve that extra efficiency by using the two-speed box. I understand that, and frankly, you get used to it, and it's really not something that bothers me because what it does for the range is pretty remarkable. I'm going to try that now. Yeah, a little bit of a hesitation, and you heard that E sound, of course, with fractal fusion.
So, is this a car you should be excited about? Yes, especially if you want to step into the world of Mercedes-Benz. You want an EV and like sedans. It's fun enough to drive, packs in heaps of innovation, and is great on range. Pricing? Well, that will be a whole other ballgame. And just wait till it spawns the next generation A-Class hatch, GLA and GLB.